All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 3BeerPod. It is season 6, episode number 12. It is Chris and Tim. And Timmer, usually this would be our last episode of the season, but we're gonna push through and do a couple more episodes before we wrap up season 6. How you doing, buddy?
Wait, I thought you just dropped that one on me, buddy. I thought this was the season ender.
It's all part of your contract, man. You can't get out of it.
We're going out with a bang here. All right.
Can't get out of it.
Extended season 6. It's good stuff. Yeah. Let's go, buddy.
It's extended. We just confirmed our guest for episode 13, which we'll get to coming up in just a little bit. Nice. Season 6, episode 12. Scott Crawford from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum is going to join us here in just a couple minutes. But we always start off the 3BeerPod with What You Drinking, Bud, where we highlight 3 of the beers that we're going to be enjoying tonight on the 3BeerPod. So I know we've got a couple of matches here, Tim. So why don't you start with the one that I don't know what you're drinking here tonight.
The one, this one. I was like, oh, this is like some sort of riddle we're going through here today. I got a shipment in from left field. We're going to be talking about them again tonight, but I haven't tried this one yet.
Okay.
And I'm excited to try it. This is Squeeze Play. It is a mango pineapple sour coming in at 4.8. So I'm excited with that. It pairs well with Hawaiian pizza, Cloudy.
Hello.
So that's impressive.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to try that one tonight. And that's all I'm drinking tonight, buddy.
That's all you're drinking. Okay. Okay. I've already polished off. I've just polished off. I like to start off with a little lo-fi. So I was over to Sons of Kent today. Got talking to our friend Sluggo over there at Sons. So the pineapple lo-fi, which is the new addition. Do you have something there, Tim, on that?
On the lo-fi?
On the lo-fi, yeah.
It's part of the lo-fi family. Low calorie, low carb, lower gluten, not gluten-free. So if you have some issues with gluten, you might want to stay away from it still. But if you've only got a little bit of an issue with gluten, I think it's the beer for you. It comes in at 3.7, which we got into some lo-fis a lot this summer.
Yeah.
And it was one of our favorite. And they still have the key lime and sea salt one, which is the one that I got into a lot this summer. But the pineapple did have that one this past weekend. Delicious.
It's very good. It's a good starter for the podcast. Here, I got a lot of glare on that one. So this is the Southpaw from left field, which we're going to talk about, the IPA from Left Field Brewery. We've got another one that we're going to feature here coming up in a couple minutes. But this is the one we're both going to have tonight, Tim. From Sons of Kent, we wanted to highlight the Fingas 45, which is the red ale. And obviously this week, Remembrance Day. So Sons of Kent celebrating 75 years of Branch 28, 642 Chatham Pipes and Drums. The red ale was brewed to honor the legacy and commemorate the 75th anniversary at the end of World War II. Portions of the proceeds from each beer sold will support the band as well as Remembrance Day Poppy campaign. So grab them while you can, while supplies last at Sons of Kent, or you can order online. You can get all your details there. But Fingas 45 is the red ale. So those are, I don't know how many beers we were supposed to. I think I just talked about 4 of them right there, but.
It's the 10 beer podcast here.
The 10
what was supposed to be season ender, but hey, let's get her going, buddy.
Throwing a lot in there. So before we get to our actual third beer, let's pull in our guest here tonight from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. This is Scott Crawford, the Director of Operations. Good evening, Scott. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. And you guys?
Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
Scott, are you having a beer with us tonight?
I am. It's too far for me to reach right now, of course.
No, that's all right.
I have my favorite Left Field Brewery beer with me.
Well, that's what let's get into this while we're getting you set up here. The Outstanding Pub Ale is the 4.1%. There's a look at it from Left Field Brewery, and this is the one that was brought to our attention. There you go. Timmer's pouring it already. Tim, you caught this a couple weeks back, and we were like, hey, we haven't ordered from Left Field in a while. Let's get that on. And I know we had reached out in the past to the Ball Hall of Fame, and it was like, well, let's tie them all in together. So Left Field Brewing has got 25 cents from every Outstanding Pub Ale going to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Leftfieldbrewery.ca. So how many of those have you had, Scott?
Well, as soon as they came out, I ordered a 12-pack and had it mailed to St. Mary's where I live, and I gave a few out to my volunteers to, of course, give them a little tease so they can order their own. And I left myself a few to drink though.
Good stuff. How is it, Tim? You've got the first sip.
No, it's delicious. A pub ale. I wasn't sure what that actually meant, but it tastes pretty dang good, buddy.
Nice. Very nice. We'll get it in you. We'll be enjoying that here tonight. I guess, Tim, he mentioned St. Mary's there. I know he had a question right off the bat. Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum is located in St. Mary's, Ontario. And Tim, I'll let you have the first question.
Scott, how does the Baseball Hall of Fame end up in St. Mary's, Ontario? I read that it started out in Toronto and then worked its way to St. Mary's, but I never could figure out why St. Mary's. And I'd like to preface that with, I have a lot of family in St. Mary's, so there's nothing against St. Mary's. I'm just wondering how it ended up in St. Mary's.
Well, if you got family here, you got to come visit us next time you come visit your family.
Will do.
So, but yeah, it's the number one question we get. You're right. The Hall of Fame is in St. Mary's, Ontario, just west of Stratford. It started in Toronto. About the early 90s, it moved to St. Mary's. It came down to basically us in the city of Guelph. And in 1994, we won the Hall of Fame to have it physically located in St. Mary's. Two main reasons are the St. Mary's Cement Company donated 32 acres of land to us so we can build. We got 4 ball fields and walking trails and room for the museum. But the historical reason is from a ball game that took place down in Beachville, Ontario in 1838. Okay. And that game, it wasn't the first game of baseball. It was just one of the first games that were well described. And the fellow who talked about that game, his name was Adam Ford. And Adam Ford was from St. Mary's, a doctor in St. Mary's, and lived here in St. Mary's during his time. So that brings the historical tie back to Little St. Mary's. And baseball really started in Southern Ontario with Hamilton, Woodstock, London, Beachville, and Guelph. So we really, Southern Ontario is a place for the Hall of Fame.
Well, you've got a big week. It's a week from tonight is the 2021 induction, and obviously a little different like everything has been over the last 20 months or so. Tell us what's going on next week and I guess how we can be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's our 2021 virtual induction ceremony and awards presentation. So sort of 2 aspects to it. And also we'll have some extra special guests that you got to watch the show to find out who they are. But you can sign up on our website. We'd like you to register beforehand. It's a free event. It's free to register. But it's going to talk about, we have 17 new Hall of Famers, all long passed away, all really cool historic baseball stories. And then, of course, we're going to present the 2019 and 2020 Jack Greeny Awards and Tip O'Neill Awards, because we haven't been able to do those the last couple of years either. 17
going in next. Is that a large crew to induct, or is that like that doesn't sound like the normal size?
No. Normally we have 3 or 4.
Okay.
But I think this year the board of directors went with, because everything's got to be virtual. There's a whole bunch of, say, long lost great stories of baseball to be told. And this was the year, because we were going to do it virtual no matter what, that we thought we'd throw in a whole bunch of people that well deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I was sitting here this afternoon and I was like, okay, in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, I've got Rob Ducey. And then all of a sudden I'm like, holy bananas. There are a lot of Canadians kicking around baseball right now. Well, obviously Fergie Jenkins, who's been on this podcast, season 4, episode 2. And of course, Fergie's from our hometown of Chatham and the first Canadian in the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Cooperstown edition, long been in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. But like the list goes on. And I would imagine at some point it was difficult to find. Maybe a name or two, but now it's pretty easy to find a Canadian that's excelling in the majors right now.
It is. I mean, there were 16 Canadians in the big leagues this year, and 5 of them had amazing years. I mean, we hand out the Tip O'Neill Award for the top Canadian ball player each year, and this year's a tough call. I mean, you got, of course, Vladimir Guerrero with the Jays. He was born in Montreal. You got Cal Quantrill, who was the #1 starter for the Cleveland Indians. You got Tyler O'Neill, who just won a Gold Glove with the St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. Jordan Romano was a closer for our Blue Jays with 23 saves. Nick Pivetta started 30 games with the Red Sox. I can go on and on. I mean, there were so many good Canadians this year, and you're right. In the 80s, there weren't too many. The 90s, it started to pick up. The 2000s got really, really busy, and we're still holding strong.
Tim, I don't want to step all over you again, but you mentioned Vladimir Guerrero. So he was born in Montreal, but I know there's like Roy Halladay, who's not Canadian, but played for a Canadian team. What is the qualifications to get into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, you have to have something significant in the game of baseball in Canada if you're not a Canadian. Similar to Roy Halladay or Dave Stieb or Tom Henke. All those guys spent a long time in Toronto. They were the face of the Blue Jays for a long time. If you think the 80s Blue Jays, George Bell, Lloyd Mosby, Ernie Witt, Dave Stieb, Tom Henke, go on and on and on. Of course, the 90s, you got Delgado and you got Halladay. You can keep going with those names. And same with the Expos, Tim Wallach, Tim Raines, Andre Dawson, Gary Carter. So if you're not Canadian, you have to have something pretty special in the game in Canada. And those guys definitely qualify. If you're watching baseball and those guys weren't playing for the Blue Jays, I mean, who would you be cheering for, right? So
Very true.
That's fair. When there's lots of controversy that goes around Cooperstown, the steroid era, who's going to get in, who's not going to get in, who's on the selection committee for Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, who's making these decisions on who gets into the Hall of Fame here in Canada?
Yeah, our committee, it's chaired by Alan Simpson, who started Baseball America. He's still involved in the game of baseball down. He lives in the States now, but he's from British Columbia. We have 24 individuals spread across Canada. Some are past inductees, some are baseball historians, baseball media people, and baseball executives. So there's 24 people. We spread them across Canada, so it's not a ton of people. Like I know the BBWAA that votes for Cooperstown, there's about 500 voters. But we, like everything else in Canada, we just keep it a little bit smaller.
Baseballhalloffame.ca. What's I want to visit. Like what's the deal? Because obviously things have changed a little bit. Are the doors open? Can I visit? Do I have to pre-book? How do I get in?
This time of year and for the rest of the winter, you got to pre-book your visit. It's as simple as sending an email or calling us, and we'll arrange a time that'll work. We'll bring you in. Need to, of course, wear masks, and we socially distance and write down some contact information for you. But other than that, we're open for business. We had opened late this year. Of course, museums couldn't open in the province till mid-July, so we sort of only had half a year of business. So yeah, if you want to come see us over the wintertime, whether it's tomorrow or in January, just give us a call or an email.
I'm just looking here. So Tyler O'Neill, who I said to Tim out just before we said it, I didn't even realize he was Canadian, and he had an awesome season with the St. Louis Cardinals. Joey Votto. You mentioned a bunch of the Canadians there. You didn't mention Joey Votto, and he might be the top guy right now. Who's the number one Canadian? Let's start with the number one Canadian currently playing in your mind. Who is the current Canadian ball player that is number one currently playing?
Well, he's the guy I forgot, I guess, Joey Votto.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had a bounce back year. He could win comeback player of the year easily. He hit 36 home runs and drove in 99 runs, and he missed a month of the season with an injury. He broke his finger, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
He's 38 years old and still, top 10 players in baseball and batting or on hitting. But he not saying he's old, but he's on the older side of his career, like we all know in pro sports. But I mean, that's the exciting part. And that's what I mentioned earlier, all those up and comers. We got 5 or 6 Canadians that are all sort of 25 years old that are the best in baseball. And we didn't even include Mike Soroka, who just won the World Series with the Braves. He didn't pitch this year because he has a torn Achilles. But when he pitched back in 2019, he finished second in Rookie of the Year voting and won our Tip O'Neill Award. So he's he wasn't even mentioned this year, and he's going to come back strong next year. And Braves are counting on him to be their number one starter.
We're talking to Scott Crawford, the Director of Operations at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. So that's your number one current. Who is the number one all-time Canadian baseball player, and why is it Fergie Jenkins?
Well, you have made my answer pretty easy. I'll go with Fergie because of your hat and where you guys are. Fergie was, the first modern day legend. Of course, there are all kinds of players before him, but he was the greatest Canadian ever that played Major League Baseball. The first one in the Cooperstown, obviously, back in 1991. He had 284 wins. He won the Cy Young. He's one of 4 pitchers to strike out 3,000 and walk less than 1,000 in the history of baseball. And plus, he's the nicest guy in the world. Fergie will sit there and sign 100 things for you if you have 100 things there, and take 10 pictures with you and talk to you for an hour. He just wants to be an average, normal guy, and he comes up to our induction ceremony every year, and he just sits with the crowd, sits with the people. He doesn't hide in our VIP tent, which we offer them to get away from the crowds. And he's just enjoying talking with the fans. And he has this foundation that does a ton of great work around the country. And, Fergie's a legend, and he always will be.
Do you have an as in your artifacts at the museum? Do you have any of the Fergie Lager beer on display?
We don't, but we have some. We don't have it on display, and actually, I have one on my mantle as well, because that's a pretty popular name on that beer can that they made, and it's a great way. These beer companies are really stepping up and supporting other nonprofits and charitable museums and organizations, which is great, like they're doing, and also Left Field's doing for us.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Tim and I know we've got some cans tucked away because we were involved in that, and we thought that'd be kind of neat to. The only way we can get in the hall is
Yeah, I
if
was
we
gonna
donate. We donate a couple of cans of beer, but if you need some, let us know. Yeah,
based on the criteria, Cloudy, I don't think we're getting in from our last over 2 pitch season.
I don't know about that.
So you can book a visit, and
we'll do that. We'll slide something
Closest
in.
We can get.
Yeah.
What is obviously you love baseball here, and you can tell your passion for the game, but the thing that's in the Hall of Fame that when you walk in and you see it, you're like, wow, we've got this piece of memorabilia or something that you're always in awe of. What's the thing that I would look forward to seeing there if I came in or when I come and visit the baseball?
Yeah. I mean, we had a group come in today, and I was giving them a tour, and there's always one thing. I mean, a lot of our fans are obviously Blue Jay fans that come in our door, just obviously because we're the Canadian Hall of Fame, but we get a lot of other teams as well. But we always stop by the home plate and the batting helmet from Joe Carter's home run. The 93 home run. We have the home plate that made it official. Paul Beeston donated that to us. And if you remember when Joe's running around the bases, his helmet falls off at first base, and the first base coach goes back and picks it up. And we have that helmet that Joe was wearing when he hit that home run. So those are highlighted in our museum. And we always stop and talk about them because everyone knows about it. And everyone's so excited, of course, because they all remember the home run. It was the biggest hit in baseball history.
I named my son Carter after Joe Carter for that specifically. I thought, I'm a little tied in. My dog's name's Hallie because of Roy Halladay. And Tim's a Tigers fan, so we don't really deal with it.
Let's bypass the Blue Jay stuff, guys. It hurts.
Well, Tigers were very popular before the Blue Jays came to this area.
Yeah. Is Sparky Anderson? He's in the Canadian Hall of Fame, right?
He is, and he's a lot of people wonder why, but because they know him from the Big Red Machine and of course the Tigers and all those amazing years. He played in Montreal and Toronto. They were AAA teams at the time. He played in both Montreal and Toronto, and then his first managing job was actually with the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team before he went on to the big leagues and his Hall of Fame career there. So he had almost a decade in Canada, either playing or managing. So it's a pretty unique career he had.
That's right. If there's a Tiger I could cheer for, Sparky or Trammell or Whitaker, so I'll give you that. So
thanks, Claudia.
Yeah, I'll lean on you after that one. There's so many things I want to talk about. I love beer, I love baseball, so we've got kind of everything hitting together here tonight. Stubby Clapp, he was up. I lost track. He wasn't named manager, was he, or he was up for the manager spot in St. Louis? Where's he stand right now?
Yeah, they picked the bench coach, which does make a lot of sense because he's sort of the second in charge after the manager. He'd been in the organization, I think, 10 or 11 years. Bench coach the last several years. So, I mean, as much as I was thinking Stubby Clapp deserves it too, as do all Tiger fans and who live around the Windsor area. He's the first base coach. Coming up he just finished his second or third season as first base coach, but he won Manager of the Year in AAA, and he won the PCL championship as well. So he's right there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if he's got an opportunity coming up really soon. I mean, he's such a great guy. He's in our Hall of Fame for being part of Team Canada's teams. The family's great. He's a fella. He's donated his stuff to us in the past, his equipment and his gear and his uniform. So he'll be a popular one down the line, I think.
Tim, do you get the feeling that Scott Crawford plays fantasy baseball and his whole team is Canadians?
I think so, man.
Top to bottom.
It's like a walking encyclopedia.
I love it.
You know what? I want to go watch some baseball right now, Cloud.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? And it just finished last week, and it's weird that we're this far into the conversation. We didn't talk about the World Series, and there was a Canadian connection there. Alex Anthopoulos, the first general manager to win the World Series, and then Freddie Freeman, the first baseman, who has been like Mr. Brave for the last 10, 12 years or so. He's got a Canadian connection too. So would that give him a leg up on getting into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I would. I mean, his parents are both from Ontario. And I might have this backwards. One parent's from Windsor and one parent's from Peterborough, I believe. He was born down in California. I'm pretty sure California. But his parents are both Canadian. He's played for Baseball Canada at the World Baseball Classic. Back in 2017, he was our first baseman, and he's had an amazing career. And I mean, he's a free agent. He's going to become a very rich fella in the next month or two, and I predict he'll be, if Atlanta's smart and Alex Anthopoulos is a great GM, they'll lock him up for the rest of his career, and he'll be playing first base for Atlanta for the next, until he wants to retire.
So next week, let's put you on the spot here a little bit. Next week is the induction for the 2021. I'm wearing the hat of the Chatham Colored All-Stars. And I know you've heard about the Chatham Colored All-Stars, the team that, what was the year, Tim? You've got it there. 1934, won the All-Ontario against all odds and battled racism and just a lot of things. And they were honored this year. And I know there was a big push out of the Chatham-Kent region to get them in. Where does that stand? And what is that process? I know you're not going to tell us they're going in, but where does that process, or where do they stand in the process for an upcoming induction?
Yeah, well, there has been a great push, and there's a great story and history to them. We know Brock quite well, who's doing a lot of the, he wrote that book, and he's done a lot of pushing and got a lot of schools and everybody on board to support them. And the most important thing is people are learning about them, especially the kids. We're adults and we've been through a lot more and learned a lot more, but it's really important that the kids are learning about the history of baseball and the wrongdoings and the weirdness and the stuff that, makes no sense why it happened and help make things better now. And they're on the ballot. Brock make sure I get updates about what's happening. And, it's an annual process. It's a voting process. They'll be on the ballot again for 2022, like the process we do over this winter and announce in the early spring. As long as they're on the ballot, there's a chance. I don't have a vote, but they, as long as they stay on that ballot and keep getting some interest, and we'll see with all the publicity they've had this year. That can only help them. I
hope so. I know. Well, they deserve to for one, but I have to get those votes for sure. Montreal. Will the Expos ever live again? Will we ever see Montreal have? Well, I guess will we see another city in Canada outside of Toronto ever have a Major League Baseball team?
I think so. I think the Montreal Tampa Bay kind of split season thing might happen. I'm a little hesitant about that because it is really an odd situation. Playing half because they've never really done it before, unless emergency situations. They've played obviously in neutral spots or the odd game elsewhere, but they're talking playing half the season in Tampa Bay and half the season up here in Montreal. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a start to full-time team. But I think this has to happen first. They need a new stadium. They have great backings in Montreal. The fan base needs to prove to themselves or prove to the Major League Baseball that they'll actually come out and support the team, which hurt them in the past. And, they've had great draws when they played those Toronto games, those exhibition games in spring training, but they really need to show that they can support, a lot more than 2 games that are played. For sure. I feel like, Tim, I've just been talking baseball and beer here. Sorry,
Love it. No, it's great. Was Rogers Center now? I just call it the Sky Dome. Sky Dome. Always that thought that there should be a new stadium in Toronto. The push for something a little bit different, a little bit more modern in this day and age of nicer baseball. Again, I'm a Tigers fan, so Comerica Park to me is just a baseball stadium, right? What's your thoughts on Rogers Center? What's your thoughts on something new in the Toronto area for their baseball team?
Yeah, the Sky Dome was, you got me saying it now. The Rogers Center was sort of like it was the first and the last, right, of its kind. Yeah. It was going to be the new thing, a multi-purpose stadium. And as soon as that finished, they built the one in Baltimore, and then they built the one in Cleveland, and then they built the one in Detroit and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And every stadium since then has been a baseball field outside downtown with an amazing backdrop with the buildings and whatnot in the backdrop, just like Comerica Park has. I think Toronto's going to head that way. To plan to build a stadium, it's 5 years at least. You can't do much with the Rogers Center. It's a big concrete circle, and they clearly can't modernize it. They can't make it. They can make small changes inside, but to make big changes is really hard to do with a building like that. And I think you worry about the weather and whatnot, but Minnesota has an open air stadium. The Tigers have an open air stadium. Right. We're going to have some cold days like it used to be an exhibition stadium back in the day by the lake there. But again, that's what happens. There's other days. Boston's up north. Minnesota's up north,
Yeah.
so there's lots of stadiums that are, same geography more or less.
Scott, I told you we'd keep you for about 10 minutes. We've been 25, so I apologize for that. Scott Crawford, the Director of Operations. I just wanted to ask you as we wrap up here, don't forget the induction is next Tuesday. Don't forget to grab that left field beer that supports the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. But what do the players feel when you call and say, hey, listen, you've been inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame? Are they excited? Do they know about it? What's the reaction when you give them that news?
Yeah, I've been at the Hall of Fame for 20 years, so I've called a lot of people. And it's one of the coolest things I get to do sort of late January, early February to let them know before we obviously go public with the news. And, it's the Canadian Hall of Fame. It's not the small town Hall of Fame. It's not even the provincial Hall of Fame. This is all of Canada honoring them. And most of them are sort of pause for a minute. And then they're like, holy cow or wow, or that, that's great.
Yeah.
Gord Ash, when we inducted Gord Ash, the old GM of the Blue Jays back in 2019, he paused and I was like worried for a second if we lost connections or something. And he's like, no, I'm wiping the tear out of my eye. That's how much it meant to Gord Ash. Gord Ash started in the ticket office with the Blue Jays, a Toronto kid in the ticket office, and ended up being GM of the Major League Baseball team. So it's a pretty cool career he had. Same with Alex Anthopoulos, started in the mailroom with the Montreal Expos. 20 years later, he's hoisting the World Series trophy. Wow. So there's some pretty good stories about that. And it's awesome to call these guys because they're so excited.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that I've never been, and I should have been many times. And I was supposed to come up a couple times and play in the softball game that is on induction weekend, and just couldn't make it work. I had a buddy that would come up for all the inductions, and he would get me a signed ball every time. So I've got a Carter signed ball, an Olerud, a Molitor, I think, like just a stack of them that he would get me every single time. And I'm like, I gotta go. So Tim, this is it right now. We'll say we're coming up this winter. We're coming up. We'll visit some of the breweries up that way, and then we'll hit the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Scott, I won't keep it too much longer. We'll talk when the Chatham Colored All-Stars get inducted. We'll get you back on the podcast. All right.
Sounds good. We'll chat anytime, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Bye.
That's awesome. Don't forget to grab that outstanding pub ale is delicious.
Well,
it's that address up on the screen too.
It's outstanding, buddy. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's
long gone.
Right? That's cool. Ernie Harwell shout out that way. That is delicious. I should have got more than a 4-pack of that.
Yeah, we'll have to double back on that one. That's for sure. So 25% from every sale of the outstanding pub ale goes to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame Museum and their work to recognize the contributions of the 17 outstanding Canadians in baseball history, speaking specifically about the inductees that will go in next week. So Left Field Brewing, where did I put that? leftfieldbrewing.ca is leftfieldbrewery.ca is where you can order that. And we did that, and you got it in like 3 days, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a quick one. How much would you like to just sit down at left field with Scott and talk more baseball, man?
Dude.
That was exciting.
I'm such a baseball geek, and I try to hide it in some conversations. And I'm like, people will be like, "Oh, what's this loser talking about?"
Just the excitement for baseball that Scott had just makes you think back to how long we've loved the game for, right? And you can obviously tell that the guy's got a passion for the game. So got to get up there. There are some breweries heading that way that we should.
Why have we not been up there? That's such a stupid thing that we've never been up there. Fergie Jenkins, season 4, episode 2 on the podcast. Fergie was an awesome guest. We had a great time talking to Fergie, but I just wrote down some names. Okay. Some Canadian names as we were, I was like, okay, let me think back to when I was younger. Terry Poole. I remember thinking when I was collecting baseball cards, and I'd turn around and I'm like, I think he was from Saskatchewan. Am I right with that? And I was like, man, like guys from Canada. And me as a chubby kid who was afraid of the ball, like I was never going to make the majors, but I was like I remember thinking like, that's crazy. There was like one at the time. And then I remember Stubby Clapp coming up because he's from the area and being like, holy bananas. And then Rob Ducey and Rob Butler, like these guys were never all-stars for the Blue Jays, but those are like my guys. And we've had Joe Siddle. We should have mentioned we've had Joe Siddle on the podcast a couple times, another Canadian that played the majors. So just you're like, wow, like there's quite a few that have had the chance to play in the majors. And then you got guys like, and that used to be them though. That used to be them. They were just like,
and now we got
they're
Joey
there.
Votto.
We got Joey Votto, Justin Morneau, Jason Bay. Remember him? Like some of these names, you're like, holy crap! Like there's some big names. Well, Larry Walker just went into the Cooperstown this year
pretty
too.
Big deal.
Pretty wild stuff. So check it out. We'll throw that link back up on screen if you haven't been there yet. baseballhalloffame.ca. And next week is the induction. They got a membership drive. They got an auction too, and you can get all that information online.
They've got an auction, Cloudy.
Oh, buddy. Why don't we get right into that? Why don't we get right into that on a Kijiji update, Tim, on the 3Beer Pod,
buddy?
Because we had an experience.
We had a big weekend.
Yeah.
Which way am I going? This way. I
Hold
got
on,
a shuffleboard, Cloudy.
Let me get you up here on the big screen here. So boom.
Oh, there it is.
Look, there you go. That's the shuffleboard.
I got a shuffleboard. Woo! Won it at auction. Drove down to London. Look at this.
I forgot I had added a little something for the celebration. That's what I got in auction right there.
I got a
LED
roll of LED lights. What should I do with it? Wrap it around the set.
There you go.
Yeah, so we got excited to go down to London, Ontario to pick up the which is like an hour and 15 from where we're at.
Yep.
Friday, hook on the trailer. You know, my dad jumps in the back of the car just for the entertainment value.
Roadie, yeah.
Yeah, we go down to London, make great time, get there, and it's closed. Like, not because it was closing time. It was
an issue.
There was a power outage.
Yeah.
And they couldn't load the shuffleboard. So we turned around.
Regrouped.
And, we came home. Had a beer probably.
Yeah.
And we fired it back up on Saturday.
Yeah, do it again.
Headed back to the
mystery
to pick it up. Yeah, and we didn't know if it'd be good, but it's brand new in the box. Look at that thing. Brand new in the box. Works beautifully. Fits well in here in the studio.
Yeah.
And we've got a shuffleboard table, buddy. I'm pumped.
There you go.
So you know, anybody can play it. It's fun. I'm excited that it's a great addition.
Anybody can play it. Not everybody can play it well.
No one's beating me, but
yeah.
I take it back because I'm sure my daughter's watching right now. She beat me tonight.
Oh, again?
It's twice now, but that's fine. And I didn't let her win. I'm not that kind of dad. I don't let her win. She legit beat me. Had a couple of takeout shots.
The league will begin. We'll start the league now. We'll get working on that. I want to further this up. So I've done a couple auctions, not like you. Like you're on auctions. You're probably on an auction right now. You're just waiting for one to close.
We're just waiting for this pod to get over.
So as we're sitting in the parking lot with the trailer all hitched up, we felt like we were at a truck stop, waiting for the goods to come out. We're watching everybody else. It was like a reality, like a TLC show, but in reality. Yeah. Like we were like, holy what? Like look at all these people and just watching. So one of the things you can bid on is a skid of what do they call it?
Amazon returns.
Amazon returns.
And the skids are usually damaged.
Yeah.
They say.
Like the boxes look like they've been
the boxes are damaged. Machine. But I think the product inside is probably good still.
Yeah. So we were watching other people, other buyers get their skid, and then they would break them down in front of us. And it literally, I was like, you saw me. I was like, look at that. Like, what are they? The guy got Rubbermaids, and I was like, so cool. He got a couple Rubbermaid bins. Like, wow. He got an office chair. I think he got a bread maker. Like, he was just going through the bin. And I was like, I am hooked. Let's
do it.
Yeah. So we lost out on ours. Is that?
Yeah, we did. We didn't go high enough, buddy. Okay. And it closed. The daylight savings time thing really threw off my sleep schedule. So it closed at like 11 o'clock, which would have been like 12 o'clock regular. I went to sleep, buddy, and we missed it.
So our idea was we're going to get one of these boxes. We're going to get one of these skids, and then we're going to do a grand unopening on the podcast.
Yes.
Where we'll get it home, and then we'll do a podcast where we break down all the shit we get on the skid.
Yeah, and we sell it live.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that idea.
It's an auction. We're going to do a live auction. You know, we've been involved in some charity auctions. I think we got this.
Yep. Yeah,
except the charity is us.
We're the charity. Yeah.
Right.
I'm in.
We'll donate a portion to something, but probably not.
No, we got to pay for our losses.
We got to pay for gas and stuff, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to it.
Next
Sunday, there's another one closing, buddy. We got this.
Okay. We'll gather
get on it. I'll stay up late. I'll have a nap in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then we'll get at it.
I'm in.
Whoa.
Tim, we got to do. There we go.
This is so hard.
The
The hardest thing I do
Mo of the week.
That one looks pretty good.
Here, let's try. You try this one here.
Oh, I like that one too. Why is it so hard?
I don't know. Here you go. The Mo of the week.
Yours looks good.
Yeah, Movember is
here.
Like
it tickled my nose after.
Yeah, no, it's not like I had to brush it down.
What's going on here?
Clean it up. So the Mo of the week, it's November, which is Movember, a month for men's health, where guys are growing mustaches, and you can donate Movember.ca. And every week we highlight a different Mo, a different mustache. Right? I'll go first. Great Canadian Calgary Flame legend.
Look at that,
Lanny McDonald.
That's impressive.
That's a good look right there.
That's like, how do you take a drink when you got that going on? Like on the fly, you're changing lines, you're thirsty.
That's a soup strainer right there.
It looks like a lot is going to get impeded by that.
Yeah. I was digging around for photos and I was like, God, like there's a lot of like Lanny now. This is Lanny McDonald, by the way, played for Calgary, Colorado, Toronto. I forget where else he played, but he still got it. He's still growing the mustache. I'll give.
He still has it.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's strong. It's not as flaming as this one is in the best way, but it's turned silver. And why would it?
Still as aggressive?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Hall of Fames, he's the guy that makes the call for the Hockey Hall of Fame, and calls he's the guy that does that. So
how did you get that? How did you get that job?
It's the mustache, dude. Superior.
All right, I'm gonna grow mine out. I'm gonna have to dye mine if I grow mine out, though.
Yeah. Look at that, eh? Like it's got volume, I think, is what also.
It is volume. He must brush that.
You have to. Yeah,
it looks good.
Lanny, Mo of the week. My Mo
of the week is not as impressive, but I think he gives it a good shot, and I think we've seen him come a long ways. Look at that. The beams. Good for him. Right? Like
gets his peaches down in Georgia.
Exactly. That's a catchy tune. And I think that mustache really inspired that song as well.
Look at that.
Wait a second. What's around his neck? Is that like snakeskin?
That's ice, dude.
Is it?
That's bling. Yeah.
Those are diamonds?
Yes.
Oh.
Of course it is. Come on.
Yeah. See, he's doing well. He's doing well, and I think picture him without a mustache. I don't think it would look as good. I think the mustache makes him look better. That's my Mo of the week. Also Canadian. Good for you, my good friend.
My good friend.
Tune in next week for our special guest.
And Justin Bieber stops by to play shuffleboard against Lanny McDonald.
Can you imagine that becomes a new feature? Who can we get in the garage to play shuffleboard with me?
We got a lot of ideas. Let's work on the skids, then the shuffleboard head to head. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. That is ladies and gentlemen, your Mo of the week.
That's the hardest thing I do all week, right there.
Yeah, right there.
Trying to get that thing to line up.
You know what, Tim? We didn't mention. I want to say hi to Doug Robbins over at the Engagement Pod that had us on last week to eat chicken wings.
Which turned into chicken wings, man.
Yeah. I apologize because I feel like we took over his podcast, and just went off the rails. I remember taking my shirt off at one point. Well, it got a little messy with the chicken wing sauce. Yeah. Hey, man, I had leftovers the next day with those things too. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Sometimes a chicken wing, I think, especially the sauced ones, if you can get them to heat up nicely. Yeah, air fryer, buddy.
Next day.
Yeah.
Air fryer. Yeah, I need some lessons on the air fryer, buddy. Can you run a clinic, run a master class on the air fryer?
I'm doing a TED talk on the air fryer.
That'd be awesome.
Let's add that to the list of things to do.
Let me write that down.
Write it in your notes, because I know you're keeping notes over there.
Things to do. Air fry masterclass.
Oh, we know we didn't play here yet. We got to play this for you.
Wait a second. I gotta get my notes down. Okay.
Get your.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't want to lose that.
I sent you a TikTok this week because I thought it was hilarious. Because we were talking baseball, so we're like, "Hey, we're having Scott Crawford on. Let's we're talking baseball." I'm like, "We should try this." This is a guy. This is a TikTok video. Guy trying to break the record for catching the hardest hit ball or the fastest ball ever hit or thrown, right? So watch this fiasco.
Breaking the world record for fastest ball ever caught. We were so close.
Wow.
He takes that one right off the side there. Play that again. That's pure entertainment.
That's
for me.
pepper right there.
Breaking the world record for fastest ball ever caught.
Whoa.
We were so close.
Let's do it.
You think we could do that?
What is the world record? What was the speed? They're up to like 120 miles an hour there. Weren't they, or something?
I think it was like 120 miles per hour. Yeah. I play first base, Tim. You know that. Like, balls are not coming slow.
No.
And I can get out of the way like the best of them. There's no way.
Not as quick as I can.
No. Hell no.
Let's try it.
No. I think we should. Write that down. Put it on our list of things to do.
Okay. Fast. Who's going to hit the ball? Fast.
Terry Poole. We're going to call Terry Poole. Former Canadian from Saskatchewan.
Right. Okay. That's on the list of things to do. That's amazing.
Hey, let's highlight this guys again here from Left Field Brewing. There's the let's go to the front of the Left Field Brewing, the outstanding pub ale right here. Let's get our cans up. We were talking to them. They've got the outstanding pub ale, which I have a write up on that. I should probably mention. Golden inside and out with flavors of biscuit, caramel, and marmalade. Outstanding is a smooth, balanced, and sessionable take on a classic pub ale. Brewed in honor of the 2021 class of Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame inductees, Outstanding celebrates this diverse group of 16 individuals and one team, each overlooked over the years, despite their profound impact on a significant contribution to the history of baseball in Canada. 25 cents from each can of Outstanding Pub Ale supports the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Learn more about this year's inductees and the virtual ceremonies here. https://www.leftfieldbrewery.ca/news/outstanding. No, you get it.
It was a 100% professional voiceover right there until you get to the https://
dash Canadian dash baseball dash hall dash hov dot fame. So I
just Google outstanding pub ale from Left Field.
Yeah, you'll find it right there. It's good. It's damn good. I'm loving Left Field.
Did it say a hint of marmalade in it?
Tim, it said golden inside and out with flavors of biscuit, caramel, and marmalade. Outstanding is a smooth, balanced, and sessionable take.
Now I gotta crack another one. I gotta crack another one to get the marmalade. I definitely got the biscuit, but I didn't get the marmalade. I enjoy a good marmalade.
Do it all for the biscuits. All right. Hey, Tim, next week on the pod, let me turn this off. Well, hold on. We don't need that. I got a lot of things going on here. Next week,
the new lights, buddy.
You like that, eh?
I'm jealous.
Look at Scott.
I had the lights on the pub table, on the shuffleboard table, but I thought it was too bright. I was wrong.
Here, let me hold on. Know what we can do? Let's do this here. Boom. And I scotch taped that on there too. So
it's part of the 3BeerPod budget. Scotch tape.
Gaffer tape. All right. Next week we are going to do an episode 13 for season 6. We've got a special guest who will be a five-time. Yeah. I think he's 5-time. He's at least 4. Okay, he'll be a 4-time returnee guest, one of our favorite guests, and we've got some big news. We're teaming up, collaborating. We're collaborating with this guy, so that rules out Justin Bieber. But we're going to collaborate with this guy for a something. You just have to keep an eye on our social media. Okay?
You built it up, and then you're like,
you know me in a secret. I want to just spill it.
I got a secret. But I can't tell you.
I got a secret. Guess what it is? Yeah. I won't say anything. I'm not
telling you what the secret is. Big news next week. Tune in.
Turn in next Tuesday night.
We just hyped it up here.
BaseballHallOfFame.ca. Thanks to Scott for joining us. Those are all the inductees this year. Those are all the guys.
Check out those nominees. I went through a bunch of them. There's some interesting stories there.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
There's no name, like there's no Justin Morneau or Larry Walker on that list. But like I told you with the outstanding pub ale, these are guys that have been overlooked and
Yeah.
women too. There's some there's Helen Callahan. Yeah, there's a couple women there that have been overlooked in the past. So they're going to honor them here this year. So there you go. I'm just making sure we got everything. Do we get everything there, Timmer?
I'm feeling good about it, buddy.
Check my notes. Oh, that's right. I forgot to do this. There you go. One more time.
Sponsors,
buddy.
nah,
I almost forgot about that.
sponsors here
Let me
tonight.
throw this up here.
Boom,
Boom.
Chris
Boom.
McLeod, buying and selling houses left and right. Market's still hot. Read about it in the newspaper here today. Market is hot. I don't even know where Cloudy was. Just watching the light show. Market's hot. If you're looking to buy or sell, you give Chris McLeod a call over at Realty House. He makes it happen. Shauna over to the Health House, keeping us healthy as hell. She cooked up. Cloudy, you didn't get a piece of this pie, did you? She cooked up sweet potato beet pie on the weekend. Wowzer. That's all I can say about that pie. Yeah, you didn't even get offered a piece of the pie, buddy. That's how she keeps us healthy around here.
By leaving me out of the pie game?
Yeah. You ever had beet pie? That's healthy.
Can't beat it.
That's healthy. And wicked cricket action going on in Pakistan right now.
Yes, tell us more.
World Cup of cricket is going on right now as we speak.
Yes, it is.
Big matches this week. Check it out. Once our friends are done, we're going to have them on for season 7, episode 1. Tune in. I just spoiled the surprise, didn't I? My bad.
That was our Christmas special this year with the Pakistan Super League.
Are we going to drop some hints for the Christmas? Let's hold that till next week.
Yeah, that.
When we have our
don't tell me.
Episode the weekend. Is next week the last episode?
You don't know. We'll find out.
Okay.
We'll see who else answers our calls. All right.
All right.
That's it. Season 6, episode number 12. Thanks again to Scott Crawford, Director of Operations, Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. The induction ceremony will be next Tuesday. I know you're going to watch this and then watch that right afterwards. Don't forget Left Field Brewery, I should say. Grab them. Oh, and that Fingask is delicious. I don't know if you saw me chug that down there.
That's a good one.
Get that. And Remembrance Day, of course, coming up this week. Timmer, cheers, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, bud.